Hello, and welcome to the very first ever DVD Drunker. A very special episode where Matt and I are going to drink profuse amounts of beer and watch Beerfest.
That's absolutely right. We're going to have our own Beerfest.
That's right. We're going to have our own little Beerfest. This episode was inspired by the fact that we like to drink, right?
Absolutely.
Have a good time, responsibly like adults. That's the thing, kids. You don't have to fuck up your life. You can just come home and sedate yourself after your shitty work.
Exactly right. As long as you keep it under like 5 to 6 a day, no one's going to say anything.
If you're paying your bills and not smacking your old lady around, you can drink all day. Just go nuts. As long as the things get done. It's called functional alcoholism, okay? And it's a thing, baby. Look it up.
It's one of the core tenets, actually, of being a drunk. So
I was going to say, I believe that's the...
Functional alcoholism.
That's right. The thesis statement of the whole ideology of being a drunksman. Yeah. So today's movie, like I said, is Beerfest. Oh, should I tell them what the show is? I think they know what the show is.
No, they know. They love us.
They love us. Anybody who's watching this is probably like binged all right up to this, because if you find the show, you obviously go back and watch every episode once you find it. Well, just in case, I have a DVD collection. I've been doing it for a long time. There's movies that go years and years without getting watched. I kind of forget about them. And the whole idea of this show is to bring them back and see if it was a good idea to buy them, if they were worthwhile, or if maybe it was just a passing fad, which happens occasionally. It happens.
It has happened.
We've been there. So anyway, today's choice is Beerfest. We chose it to be on theme, but it's a Broken Lizard movie. Yeah. So if you guys out there don't know who Broken Lizard is, they were a group of 5 college friends. They went to Colgate University.
Oh, wow.
They formed in 1990. They were in college together. And they've made 5 movies. They've worked a lot in small group, like sometimes 2 or 3 of them in one thing, or like in a small group, or on somebody else's project. So they've worked together a lot, but specifically this group has made 5 movies.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you how much did you play drinking games?
I was gonna ask you the same. Well, a little background. As much as we drank together, I don't feel like we have ever really played drinking games together.
I'm not a drinking game guy.
Okay.
I'm more of a I have one game, and it's drink till your beer is empty, and then when the beer is empty, I win, so I reward myself with another beer.
I'm with you on that. That's the game I'm always playing, and then it may be interrupted by other people's games as well.
So you did more of the beer pong, and
I've done it all. I've done it all. I've had fun. There's some you like more than I'm not a beer pong fan just because my dexterity in that game is just, it's just another thing. It's a quasi-sport, therefore I immediately fail.
Yeah.
If there's any physical
You're more
challenge.
into the kind of memorization style
Memorization's good, or any time where it's just straight drink somebody else under the table.
Oh, I gotcha.
I can usually do pretty well with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you to the test on that one today. I plan on having this table covered in beer bottles when we come back.
Or I'll be hosting the second half of this episode solo as Brian's asleep.
Just passed out on the table. So you play drinking games, you like to drink. What is your history as far as Broken Lizard movies? Have you seen all of them?
Just the first 3, I think. I saw them all 3 in theaters because I was like you, Super Trooper, so much Club Dread. Forgettable for me. I remember the basics. I remember some funny parts. This one, another one, was just great. I loved it. Because I love drinking.
You would put this second behind Super Troopers?
Yeah, it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that movie.
Well, that kind of goes... I was going to do the Twitter thing here at the beginning, because it's relevant, I think, and I want to revisit it then at the end, but the question I asked was, where does it rank in the Broken Lizard canon? And I got quite a few responses. My buddy Ryan at the Ohio Review, Randall Sands, Billy Poulhan, Pinch Harris, Tom Zambino all agreed they put Beerfest second, behind. Now... I had one guy, TJ Dex. He was with me, where I would put it 3rd. Now, the only reason I actually put it 3rd is because most people haven't seen all 5.
Is there one I missed?
Well, there's 2. There's the first one, the movie they made, Puddle Cruiser, which is all right. It's kind of like... It's like they're trying to make a Kevin Smith movie almost, you know what I mean? It's a little like dialogue heavy and stuff like that. But the last one, the most recent one they made is called The Slammin' Salmon. And it's about them all working in a restaurant, and it's like owned by a famous boxer who's played by Michael Clark Duncan, by the way, one of his last roles.
Oh, wow.
You know, one of the, it's like their version of Waiting, the movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds. It's kind of like their version of that. And those guys all actually worked in food, so I've heard them on commentaries and talk that they did that kind of work. So, and I would actually put it in it third. I would do Super Troopers, Club Dread, Slammin' Salmon, then Beerfest.
Absolutely, okay.
But part of rewatching it and going back and having some beers and enjoying it again is to kind of double check that ranking. Because I've also watched, to be honest, I've watched Slammin' Salmon most recently.
Yeah, okay.
I got it like last year at Christmas. I had seen it once, liked it, finally bought it, watched it again, and was like, man, why didn't anybody? So it might just be that because I've seen it most recently, and so I'm definitely, that's what the show's all about, is kind of going back and giving some time to this one. So I'm very excited to kind of reevaluate and see where I stand on this whole I call it a franchise because they're 5 guys. They made 5 movies. They're a very tight core group, you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's like you have your Quentin Tarantino movies, but you don't count the ones he just wrote. It's not like you count Natural Born Killers and True Romance. You mostly count the ones he wrote and directed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree.
These guys should not actually probably be compared to Quentin Tarantino, to be fair.
I think it's right there. Man. I think it's once we peel back the layers of this movie.
Coen's, Tarantino, and then Broken Lizard, just so close. Like,
a lot of people, it's 10 movies. These guys said, too, they're going to do 10
movies.
They're going to
do 10, they're going to be out. They're halfway there.
So once we've seen all 10, then maybe we can revisit.
Where does Dukes of Hazzard fall into their 10 movie?
might not be the top.
All right, well, you ready to go? I mean, my beer is actually almost empty.
I was going to say, I'm on E here, buddy, so let's go have our own beer fest.
I agree. Let's do this thing.
All right.
Hey, we're back. We did it. We watched Beerfest.
We did. We made it through. It was
a good time. Good stuff. So, as you can see, we got some dead soldiers here. We're going to keep up the drinking through this episode and have ourselves a little chat about Broken Lizard's 4th movie.
Is this their 4th? Okay.
This is their 4th because Puddle Cruiser's their first, and then they broke out. So they actually had a movie before they broke out.
Overall, I say I really like this movie a lot. I really had a good time.
Well, we talked about, because the whole thing with Twitter was, the ranking system, and everybody was saying it was their second best. And as I watched it, I still maybe don't think it's as good, but I think I just like all these movies more than they're all just up a level. Club Dread is still a little better, but this is still great. It's just that they're all good. It's like when you're ranking, and especially when you compare them against each other. If you take all 5 of these movies and you're like, this is their canon, they've all got their place. You know what I mean? It's like a Quentin Tarantino discussion we talked about earlier. Maybe these guys don't make movies on that level, but when you still compare a body of work, when I'm comparing QT movies, it's like they're all great. They're just different levels of great. And same thing with these. They're all enjoyable. It just depends on how I enjoy them and for what reason and what I get out of them. But they all have redeeming value.
I agree 100%.
So even though you have to rank them, it doesn't mean that one is bad and one is good. They're all good. They're all great. Fun.
Especially here too, and this is to me it feels like a bunch of guys just hung out, laughed, made jokes, and then they were like, well, we got to put that in a movie sometime.
And that's what
these jokes are.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you feel like this movie is so you have these group of friends that came together in college? This is a movie about glorifying drinking games, which is a big college thing. Do you think this is their frat days? They're this is kind of we made a couple movies, we got a little success behind us. Let's go back to our heyday. Let's go back to our glory days and kind of glamorize the thing we like best about college.
Yeah, it could be.
One of our,
and I think you're right.
Our funnest memories or whatever.
And I think also that it was a lot of the jokes that they came up back then, laughing at this kind of stuff and just thinking the ridiculousness of this kind of stuff. And it was some of their early jokes.
Well, the overly seriousness, because you do go to college and you get into beer pong competitions and stuff. It's really a beer pong. Wow, who can get drunk? It's I never understood. It seems like the person who's the best at beer pong gets the least drunk. That's counterintuitive, right?
I thought that before too. Yeah, I'm actually losing this game by winning this.
Right.
Game.
I want to get drunk, but yet here I sit.
America is not considered a great drinker in this, and I like the hierarchy of countries.
Right. They're taking their grandpa's ashes to Oktoberfest. They get led to Beerfest. He is supposed. I'm trying to burn off some of this plot just so people understand. Their grandpa Donald Sutherland was the bastard child, or he's supposedly some thief and son of a whore
allegedly,
who stole this
guys,
who stole this legendary beer recipe. So when they go to Beerfest, they are shunned because they're the offspring of this like hated guy.
But they're related somehow. They don't. Well, I don't think they come back.
They're
to that
supposedly
either.
related to the Germans, and they do. They end up, it ends up being that they are.
They're cousins.
But the Germans are like the legit. But yeah, you're right. There is a hierarchy of countries, and then Germany's at the top. But then you have like Canada, England,
Ireland,
Mexico. Yeah. There's there's like levels on Sweden. I guess the drunkenest of countries.
Do you now? I want to ask you this. Like, do you have in your mind a higher? Because it seemed pretty legit. Sweden, though, being in there in the Final Four at the end is weird
I feel like
me.
The stereotype of Ireland is that they drink, but I also kind of feel like England is right there. Like, I feel like England and Ireland are right on par with each other.
Yeah, which in this movie, they're not the top drinkers. They lose early.
They lose to Germany.
Americans.
And what about now? Canada's in the running.
Yeah.
Where was Russia?
Oh, there weren't any Russians.
Is it because it's more of a like hard liquor thing with Russia and they don't do the beer thing as much?
Maybe that's it. They just refuse.
If this was Vodka Fest, they'd be all over it, right?
Wow, so actually, somewhere the Russians are laughing at this competition, like they don't even recognize this.
They are gonna represent America. They're gonna pull a team together. And they decide to assemble their team. And this way, I like it that it's almost like an Avengers movie.
Or like D2.
Right. Well, they go to get people with special skills. Like, they go get like the best drinkers they knew from like high school and college, and they bring them together. So you have Landfill.
Yeah.
Who's basically just a power drinker. He's a chugger.
Which I like these. I like this. I like these like classes of drinkers.
Right. They bring in their specialties. Exactly. Yeah. And then you bring in Fink, who is a Woody Allen level Jewish stereotype.
Is he? Do you think he's just doing a Woody Allen impersonation? I have a lot to talk about this.
You want to break this guy down a little bit?
We'll talk
you want to wait a little bit? All right. But anyway, let's just point. The point is to be made. We get it. He's Jewish. And then, and I don't know what's his special, but he's smart. He's a scientist.
Yeah, he does.
So he's like the brains.
Which it pays off.
It does pay off. Yeah. And actually, I know we're skirting around it, but like I have a theory that he's kind of the hero of this movie.
I agree.
A little bit.
I agree.
And then the third person they bring into their 5-man crew is Barry Badgernath, a quarters specialist, and also like an all around he's like the kid from Bad News Bears on the motorbike who's just like he's like 24, but
Adam Banks.
He's the knuckle puck, if you will.
Absolutely. The Kenan Thompson of
let's keep up these D2 references. I'm a big fan. I am a big fan of this. One of my favorite little things is they find Barry and he's just a fucking street hooker. Just comes right up to their window and is offering them handies and blowies and a Z job, and if you don't know, then you can't afford it. And it's so good.
This might be one of the most quotable parts of the whole movie too, is all the stuff that he says to him, especially the Z job stuff.
But then the whole thing when he's like gonna show him that they're like, do you still got it? Like, do I still got it? And he starts doing quarters off the hood of the car, and he's missing, but all the other prostitutes that are there, these like male, like these cut off shirts, are getting all like they're like diving at these quarters that keep missing. Ooh, they're so good. It's so exciting.
As a former homeless male prostitute, I can tell you that it's very accurate the way that played out. So,
it's weird. Your life has had lots of ups and downs.
Ups and downs. I'm on an up right now. Who knows where we'll go?
Yeah, I mean, you're an educated man with a law degree, and yet here you also were a male prostitute.
Yeah,
and not even like a high class.
We're not talking after. I was a prostitute
after. We're not even, and it's not even like you went into the like American Gigolo high price hooker. I'm doing it. No, like full on gutter trash.
Oh yeah.
Just handies and
and there were it was I mean that's a whole different story. You're right. We don't want to get into it here, but you're absolutely
right.
Also,
our relationship has gone through lots of changes.
You told me that. You told me that truth about your life.
Well, I learned it all. I wish I could have learned it from you telling me, and not me pulling up to a corner and having it.
Me in a dress.
I didn't even know. What's hardest about it isn't that you were doing this. That you didn't even tell me you were back, man. Like you've been gone. It was so hard. So hard. But hey,
is that fucking Wiseman?
Hey, silver lining. Welcome to the DVD Bunker. Our new show. It's gonna be our best episode ever. It's gonna be our best fucking episode. So we've been talking a lot about D2. And I want to talk a little bit about sports movie tropes, because there were some in here, but not the ones you would think.
No.
Like, there's never a full-on training montage in this movie. They never have a moment where you're cutting scenes and there's a song playing over it, like a Rocky-style montage. There's a lot of little training bits where they show them trying things and practicing, but there's never a full-on montage.
It's always the sort of like fruition of that training, like we're gonna go to the college party after 4 months later. Obviously, we've been training, so let's show us beat these college kids.
Or they have the trope of the team almost breaks up and they're not gonna, it's like they're not gonna follow through and they're not gonna do it. Absolutely. They have that sort of thing. Yeah. Or like the learning of the specialty move or whatever.
the boot.
We have the boot, and remember he has to learn because they play quarters, but they use a weirdly shaped like a big coin.
Oh yeah, the coin,
like an extra big coin, so it's harder for him.
Which we should mention that all the CG in this movie is coin related.
There's one moment, right? There's one moment where they use CGI beer, and it's a little noticeable. It's a little unpleasant. It's like, because I think it's because the drinking looks so real in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's one point where,
and there's a lot. But yeah,
the CGI coin flipping is pretty good.
Yeah, because they're just like. Yeah, they are like Marvel heroes with their coin flipping. Especially Jay Chandrasekhar. He's I feel like if I say somebody's name I can't pronounce really fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get away with it.
I think it's Chandrasekhar. I think you're
Chandrasekhar?
Right. Yeah. Chandrasekhar? Yeah, I don't know.
Chandrasekhar.
So they've been training, and there's this story that that supposedly Donald Sutherland stole this secret recipe. That's why they were shunned. They find the recipe. It's like hidden in this puppet. Mm-hmm. They find the recipe. They brew the beer. They brew the beer based on the recipe. It's delicious. It's like this most amazing beer they've ever had. They use it. Their restaurant starts getting all popular and shit because this new beer they have. Everybody loves it. They're still serving at it, apparently. But it raises some questions for him, too. Like, so does this mean the story is true? Was Donald Sutherland a thief? Is Gam Gam a whore? And by the way, I think it's time to talk about Gam Gam. Oh. Cloris Leachman, in a performance that I really feel draws from that young Frankenstein kind of like, this is a lady who is a great comedian because of how straight she can play it, because of how she treats it with such respect. They have this whole thing where they go to her house and they're kind of like speculating on whether she was a prostitute or not, and then she's like warming up a sausage and she's just constantly like rolling it between her hands and stroking it, and she is so funny, and it's just
serious at the same time.
It's not only like, is she just a legit good actress, but it's such a great little bit of physical comedy from her. The way she's just working that sausage is smacking so good. Oh man!
And then you get the reactions of what everybody sees. It's and that's what I'm talking about in this movie. It's like everything these guys do when you watch is from like, oh, how funny is this? What's the angle? It's so good. It's so well done.
Tightly
like every
packed,
joke
every
is
one
so
of them
hilarious.
Like no matter who's in the foreground, if there's members of the troupe in the background, they are doing something funny too.
It's always hilarious, man.
And I feel that way about all their movies, and I feel like Super Troopers was a huge hit, and I feel like maybe Club Dread disappointed a little, but I really think that's a solid movie, and I feel like the premise is really strong. Like we talked a little bit about, I feel like they did Super Troopers, and then they had their idea. They were like, man, I want to do a horror comedy. This will be so great. We'll we'll play the horror straight, but we'll do a really funny movie too. And they did that, and I felt like pretty successfully. This is the first movie, and I feel like this is kind of where they started to like, and maybe this is why they've only made one movie since that as a group, as like this team. This is the first one where I felt like they were kind of like, we have to come up with that. What's our next thing gonna be?
Oh, like actually them
like a concept. They were like, we have to come up with a concept. Oh, we'll do drinking, and it'll be. And I feel like they had it. Like once they decided on it, they came up with a good way to do it. But I feel like it's a little bit more unnatural than their other ideas. Mm-hmm. Like maybe. It's just, like I said, maybe it's a little more, because we talked about how is it a little self-indulgent because they're kind of like reliving their glory drinking days of college, but Puddle Cruiser is a movie that takes place with them in college. So it's kind of the same
kind of thing. So it's like, why'd you have to do it twice? Yeah, I get that too. Well, I guess in that same vein, to borrow a phrase, this movie's a little long. Like it's kind of too long.
The middle is a little long. Like the training, and we haven't even gotten into the fact that like The Germans have a spy played by pre-Oscar Monique.
Yeah, she comes in and she kills Landfill.
She kills Landfill, which leads to the best joke in the whole movie.
And I wrote it down. It's something like 15 minutes they set this joke up for. They
kill off Landfill.
How good it is.
They have his funeral. We have that. We talked about the trope of like, is the team going to break up? Are they going to make it? They kind of are getting back together. And then Kevin Heffernan, who was Farva in Super Troopers and plays Landfill, shows up as Landfill's brother, who's like a Texan. He not only says that Landfill's been keeping him posted on everything that's been happening, so he knows all the games, and he's been training himself to drink, but also that he wants them to call him Landfill in tribute. So it's like it's literally like the guy never died. They have this big emotional moment, and then it just immediately erased for a joke. It's so good.
We have like 15 minutes of Landfill's funeral. We have his funeral. We have like his family, and then also when they don't believe him, he chugs a beer and he like burps like blood.
And he burps like where they got wind machines in their face and everything. Like, yeah. But get the team back together. They're gonna go. Yep. They're finally, their training's pretty much finished. They're gonna go. Gam Gam tells them the full story of what happened. She was a whore. She is a whore. She even has like the mark of the whore, the like slash on her face and everything.
The mark.
So good.
What a great name for anything.
But
the mark of the whore.
She tells him that she was a whore, but she had a legitimate child from the von Wolfhausen heir, the guy who like created the beer. She ran off with her son, who's the legitimate older son. So that means that Donald Sutherland is the legitimate heir to the Wolfhausen brewery.
Yep.
And they're gonna, so they learn the whole story, but they also learn that Gam Gam legit was a whore. This is rough. It would be rough to learn about your grandma.
Yeah, great grandma.
I've learned weird shit about my family members, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes. So they actually get into the tournament finally, and they get let in, and we have like this is the montage I kind of was expecting for training. We got a music overlay. We see the USA beating. Who they beat? They take down Italy, and they take down England,
Canada,
and we see
England first.
Germany takes down Canada and Mexico. So we see like the tournament. We see them playing all the games and taking out different teams. And
Are any of these games weird to you? I mean, Thumper is the game that I never had seen.
Is that one where they're beating on the table?
And they do, and then I did it with somebody once, and it is like a crazy game of memorization. Where,
like I said, I never got into that too much.
But like. That's the dumbest drink game ever to me. Like, we're beating on a table and like doing.
We talked about it. I remember there was one that was like some kind of weird memorization rules where you had like you couldn't, everybody would make a rule as you went around the circle. You had to put or you had to like pretend there was a little man on the drink and take him off, or every time you swore you had to take a drink.
Hate you and throw my drink in your face.
Ooh, that reminds me. So I was trying to think of a drinking game you could play with this movie and not die.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Because, almost anything they do in this movie, they do in excess.
Yeah.
So what could you do? And I was thinking, if you only took a drink every time they chug a beer, every time they completely finish a beer. So, like, go from at least three-quarters down.
Actually.
If you took a drink, you would still get totally fucked up because they drink a ton in this movie.
They actually
have a warning at the beginning that's die. Like, you'll die. If you try to emulate what happens in this movie, you will die.
But I don't think that's true. Do you feel like it's not...
I feel like they're overdoing it a bit. No, I don't know, though. They do drink a lot. Because remember, their first training thing is that they buy a keg, and among the 5 of them, they're going to drink it.
That's a great joke, too.
And the idea is that they get totally shit-faced, and they kill, like, maybe a quarter of the keg.
It's like, fuck, this is
I feel like that is a representation of every party I've ever been to, where a guy, the guy who's like, God, dude, you gotta come over. I'm getting a keg. And then for the next 3 weeks, that guy is trying to get you to come over to help him finish off that keg. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, dude, I don't drink 6 beers every night at your house. I drink them at my house.
Yeah, like, come on, man. You don't even have stars, man. We can't watch Portlandia. Like, come on, man.
I'm in the middle of Spartacus right now. That's what I think of when I think of stars. I'm way behind.
No, that's...
Way behind the times.
That's perfect.
So we're wrapping up. They tie the Germans, right, and they have the final match, which is like a chugging contest, and they lose. But then they go double or nothing, and it's all the boot. And that's the whole thing.
Das Boot.
And this is where we can get into Fink, because his whole thing of being a scientist was trying to figure out the science of this boot glass and how you can drink out of it. It gets this air bubble in it that splashes your face.
It took him a year to...
Right. Which, when I say it out loud, sounds like the most retarded thing ever. But I'm going to just say he finally figures it out.
Yeah, he gets it.
So they're going to do 5 boots in a row. And then somebody they're facing the Germans, and Finkelstein is a Jewish stereotype, and they make what is the joke that pisses him off? I don't even remember.
They say something I don't think
it's not as offensive as you would expect it to be, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's anti-Semitic, but they say something mean about their team, and then he gets the eye of the Jew. Which, to me, honestly, like, as a fan of turn-based strategy games, the Eye of the Jew sounds like an amazing perk that you would
Here's
get.
my thing. Here's my only complaint. They don't set up the Eye of the Jew.
No, they don't talk about it ever. They talk about it one time in that
There needed to be a moment in this movie where
You're right.
Because there's a running joke there's kind of a running with Finkelstein and Landfill of like a competition where Finkelstein's always chugging in Landfill's face, and he's getting better and better at it, slowly but surely.
But he's still never
He even chugs in the corpse's face at the funeral, which I love. He grabs the corpse and is chugging in the face of the corpse. It's so good. But I feel like there's a moment where they missed out on where Landfill is finally starting to respect him a little, and Finkelstein explains the Eye of the Jew, where there's like this Jewish legend of drinking, where there's the Eye of the Jew, and I feel like they're missing out on that.
You're right. There probably is like a cut scene somewhere.
Right. But that's my one thing that I feel like they could have. I like the idea of the Eye of the Jew. I don't know if it's racist.
Yeah, you're right, because the way they say it is like you've heard it before. He's got the Eye of the Jew. He's got it.
Move him up, and they make him the final.
And they're like, move him to the back.
They make him the what do you call that? The guy who finishes up the relay. The anchor. There you go. The anchor.
But you're right. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about that other than I thought it was awesome. And I think as a turn-based strategy guy, like, the Eye of the Jew sounds like something.
He got a +2 to his dexterity.
Like, stuff like that is like,
you rolled a D20 on that.
That sounds nasty. Sounds like you're canceling out their abilities whilst buffing your abilities. Eye of the Jew is a move I would run on my team, is what I'm saying.
Solid. Just a couple of little jokes that I just like so much that I want to call them out.
Right.
One's a joke, one's more of a scene. The joke is we talked about how they go and they like compete against the college kids just as like a practice thing. They go to a college party. Mm-hmm. At the end of that, when they're on their way home, they're on like a quintuple tandem bike where all 5 of them are riding it. I love that. But then there's a great callback at the moment when they're when they're like thinking that maybe that they're gonna break up and they're not gonna do it. They're gonna give up on it. One of the guys is trying to pick up the quint bike. It's so big, he can't, like, it's so awkward. He's trying to fight with it and leave and ride away on it.
Great. You're right.
Such a good little callback, such a dumb joke. I love it. And the other thing we didn't talk about, which may be the best part of the whole movie, is what I would call the beer goggles scene.
Oh my god, you're right. That is the best part of the movie.
So it's like they're playing, they're drinking, and they get one guy like ridiculously shit-faced, and they do a great scene where they keep cutting back and forth to the way he sees himself and the way he is in reality. And it's like, in reality, he's a guy with a sweaty t-shirt on who's got a beer crown, a box of a 24-pack crown that says asshole on the front. But in his mind, he sees himself as like a disco king.
Like a James Bond disco king.
Oh, man. And they just keep cutting back and forth how he thinks he's being suave and then what's really happening. And he takes a girl home, and there's all this weird sex shit where, like, you see it, it's all romantic on the one end. It's like, in the classy version, it's like he's got a mask over his eyes and she's tickling him with a feather. Then he cut to reality and she's like choking him with a plastic bag.
It tosses that bag over his head.
It's one of the best. Like, I've seen a lot of movies that have like sequences where somebody gets drunk. You know, when they binge out or they spiral out. This was a great twist on that, a great version of that. I'm not saying it's I'm sure there's other movies that have done it, but like this was a good one.
Yeah,
regardless
absolutely.
if it's been done somewhere else, they did it well here.
and I will say, I say that to you before we watch it, that was what I thought was maybe one of the best jokes they ever did. I think better than anything in Super Troopers, that joke to me is so funny when he
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, despite the fact that I don't think this is their best movie, it does the landfill bit.
Oh, the jokes are fucking amazing.
I feel like that landfill thing is something that, like, they were like, there's an idea they were sitting on about a person who dies, and then they bring him back, and they hadn't done it yet, and it was probably something they were going to use for Club Drake, because that's a horror movie. It would have made sense in that too, and they never got around to it. They're like, no, we're getting it in this one, because I'm not fucking around. That shit is funny.
Like that was something they came up with when they were 18 or something. Right? And they just like, we gotta put.
When
this
you have
in
that one
something.
joke, and you're like, I am gonna get that into something I do someday.
So fucking, and the way they do it too is so fucking good with the burping, and he's just like, well, I appreciate if we didn't talk about that. I'm the same guy.
Actually, I'd like you to just call me Landfill in tribute. It's oh my god, it's so funny. All right, let's get to character corner.
Oh shit.
Do you have anybody in mind?
Yes, I absolutely do. I want to shout out.
Do you need to look him up?
No, I had it, and I did fucking lose it.
I know there's a couple of cameos we didn't talk about. There's one big one that is somebody who's pretty famous right now who's in this movie that we kind of glossed over altogether. He's almost too big for character corner.
Who are you talking about?
Will Forte.
That's who it was going to be.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Good one.
All right. Yeah, Will Forte, man, this was like before MacGruber. This was what he
was right on SNL when this. He was right on SNL, definitely.
Oh, and he's one of the Germans, He's one of the Germans, but he's so good. And I don't know if you've seen, he has a TV show now called Last Man on Earth.
I watched the first season almost of that, and then like I'm not a big TV watcher, so it came back, but because I'm not like locked into watching weekly TV, I didn't watch it. Now I'm way behind.
Yeah, so
it's a great show, and he's hilarious. He's in one of my all-time favorite like comedies that nobody's ever heard of that we are totally going to do on this show. I'm not even going to say it right now, but I cannot wait. I'm not even going to say the name, but he's in it, and I can't wait to do it sometime. So yeah, as far as I go with Goodbye versus Goodbye, I don't feel like this moved up in the rankings.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie helped me realize that even at number 4 in the top 5 Broken Lizard movies, it's great. Yeah. So like I just feel like I hold the Broken Lizard movies in a higher esteem altogether.
Yeah, you were like, wow, this is
like if this is their fourth best movie,
and I love it this much,
and I love it this much, it's like that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome, right?
I'm right there with you on that.
And I want to say out there, if you've never seen the Slam and Salmon, especially if you like waiting and you've worked in the food service industry, seek it out. It's so good, and you only have so many Michael Clark Duncan performances to enjoy. I used to be a guy who I liked The Green Mile just fine, but I never bought it because it's like a movie I never want to watch again.
Yeah.
When he died, I went and got that motherfucker on Blu-ray, man. That's like his defining performance. You can't deny. You can't. That
so special in that
Bear from Armageddon and the Slam and Salmon. That like speaks to Michael Clark Duncan for me.
He's a special guy, and he just seemed like one of those guys you want to be buddies with.
He seemed like he was so awesome that he stole Ving Rhames' career.
Yeah, and he's just one of those guys. Like let's go to the buffet, man. Let's get some get some crab rangoon.
When he in Armageddon, when he jumps up on the table and is dancing around in his undies. I think we just decided we're going to be doing a Slam and Salmon episode pretty soon.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm always down.
Because I can justify it because you've never seen it. So that's
never.
That's awesome. All right. How do you feel about DVD Drunker? Is this something we're going to do again?
Oh my god. Well, I'm drinking most of the time, so here's an inside spot to y'all, including you, I guess. Most of our episodes have been DVD Drunker.
This is the one where you drank in sight of me. Most of the time I always wondered why you're getting up to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. I'm not a judgmental guy. You can just we can drink together. I don't care.
You always wonder why I say woo all the time. That's the cocaine that I'm using while we're doing this episode.
Get some yay on that. Get some yay.
Man, just because we're in Ohio doesn't mean we're just total bumpkins. We
Hell no, baby. We know what's up. We know what's up. We know what is up. All right, man. Thank you for hanging with us. If you've been watching this whole time, I hope you drank along. Drink along. Yeah. Watch Beerfest. Drink with us. Enjoy responsibly. And if you're underage, I know maybe we got kids who watch this show. Be cool, man. Drink at home. Don't drive. I'm not telling you even not to drink underage, but don't go anywhere. No. Be cool. Be smart. Drink safely. Subscribe to this channel, the TUFF channel. Awesome content all the time. Just throwing shit at you. Real shit too. Not this high gloss Hollywood shit. These are real people, real opinions. We rock it on the TUFF channel. Subscribe, comment, like the video, follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
Hurst
at the Drunksman.
Which I think is clever, but seems hard to pronounce for some people. I'm glad you put it on there.
Really? People don't get what's going down then?
I think it's very smart, right? I knew Brian Hurst wouldn't be available. Yeah. Like, I wanted to come up with something.
Was that again?
And that gave me power. There is, like, a musician named Brian Hurst.
Okay, guy, man.
Yeah, I've tried to Google myself. I don't get shit.
Probably some folk bullshit, man.
Although, if you search DVD Bunker on Twitter, I am the thing that comes up now.
Oh, really?
Pretty sweet, right?
Oh, we'll fix that next
week.
It's
fucking tight. Tight. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thanks. Austin and Jeannine. Thank you, Ron. Thank you to our TUFF family. And thank you, the fans at home. Bye.